Can you be a minimalist and love fashion too? Let's talk about it. This is my absolute favorite spot to film, but we'll see how long it goes before the sun really comes in and messes up the lighting. It's no secret that I love fashion and personal style, but I also live in a 400 square foot apartment and I try to be conscious of my environmental impact and also choose to live minimally. So in this video, I want to talk about how I balance the tension between being a fashionista and living with less. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm Tina. The topic of this video is kind of what this channel is all about. I like to talk about intentional living and how I curate a space and a wardrobe full of things to love, but nothing more than what you need. So if that interests you, I hope you'll hit the subscribe button and follow along. So without further ado, let's talk about how I navigate some ways to support and love my style while continuing to live small. The first point that I want to make is there is a difference between curating your own personal style and chasing what's trendy. Your own personal style is just that. It is personal to you. It is made up of the things that you feel good wearing and are drawn to. And if you don't have a clear sense of what that is, you can end up being drawn to every trend in sight, and that can keep you locked in a pattern of high consumerism in exchange for low value. Now, don't get me wrong. I love seeing what is new and relevant in fashion, and I do pay attention to the trends, but I'm really selective about the things that I bring into my own wardrobe. And when I do end up investing in something that happens to be trendy, it's usually because I see enough overlap with my own personal style that I think it fits in my wardrobe and is something that will last and I'll wear for years to come. Now, if you don't know where to start when it comes to articulating your own personal style, that's a big topic. It could be its own separate video, but for starters, there are plenty of creators right on here that do a great job of setting you up to figure that out. So Alison Bornstein, if you haven't heard of her, does the 3-word style method, and that's a really helpful starting place to identify what you will see yourself wearing so that you can start to curate a wardrobe of only the things that you need. The second point that I want to make is that there are so many ways to practice your own personal style that go beyond just shopping and buying new things. When I say that I love personal style, it's about so much more than just shopping. I like to challenge myself to create new looks with the items that I already own by mixing and matching my pieces. One tool that I found super helpful here is the Index app. It's a wardrobe app that allows you to upload all of the items in your closet and make outfits out of them. I don't always have the energy to play dress up, so this is really great when I don't feel like pulling all of my clothing out of my wardrobe and trying everything on, but I can still get a sense of how the pieces fit together so that I can keep things fresh and exciting and experiment with my own style. I also love drawing inspiration in what I see from others. I usually have a running Pinterest board for every season, and I like to browse it so I can see what looks I might be interested in emulating for myself. And sure, this can encourage you from time to time to want to go out and buy new items, but what I try to focus on is deconstructing the look, studying the shapes and the forms and the textures, and seeing what items I already have in my wardrobe that might give a similar effect without necessarily duplicating the look fully. I find this process so much more interesting than simply adding to cart. And the third point I want to make is that having your own articulated personal style can actually be a catalyst for driving more intentional purchases. Before I jumped on the minimalist track, I used to be a lot freer with my fashion purchases, and that meant sometimes that fast fashion items would find their way into my closet. Moving into a small space made me start to feel really picky about what I was bringing into my closet, and I started to look at the real estate in my closet as precious. And it made me realize that I would rather have one really well-made blazer over 10 that were cheap. So I ended up really slowing down what I bought, buying less overall, and looking for that right item, spending a little bit more where necessary to have less but better made items in my wardrobe. I find it's also pushed me to be more careful about adding duplicates to items in my wardrobe. So I really have a much more balanced, versatile mix of clothing than I ever used to because I'm mindful of the space that it takes up. And I didn't have to give up my love for fashion at all to make this switch. I really just had to be more mindful about the items I was bringing in. And the thought and planning that goes into each purchase is way more rewarding for me than the ability to just buy things at a whim. So to sum things up here, do I think that you can be a minimalist and still love fashion? Probably by now you've guessed that my answer is yes. In fact, I think it's possible to be a minimalist and have any type of material hobby. Your balance of possessions, no matter how big or small, is uniquely yours to decide, and it should be based on what matters to you and what brings you joy. So I hope this encourages you to think about fashion or any passion project that you have in a similar way. With the right amount of mindfulness and intentionality, you don't have to sacrifice the things you love just to live smaller. If you liked this video today, it would help so much if you would hit the like button and let YouTube know you want to see more content like this. And let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think it's possible to be a minimalist and still love fashion? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks as always for watching, and I hope to see you the next time. Bye.